Thank you so much for joining me for another Sunday Afternoons with Reverend Lucretia. The name of this talk is Morning Meds, and the song is by Danny Goki. This is a new day. If you'd like to listen to the song before you hear the talk, it will be in the description below. Just click on the link and you can listen to the song first. So this talk is going to be so wonderful because it's a topic that is so incredibly important to me, and it has been with me for 30 years. So the morning meds that I'm going to be talking about are prayer, affirmation, and meditation. And I've been doing all of that for 30 years. And so I'm going to be talking about how we can change our lives by using these practices. So sometimes we are our own worst enemy, and we can change that and negate the voices in our heads that are hurting us by replacing them with positive new voices. So there is a playlist on my phone that is called Morning Meds, and I saw that playlist one day and I thought, hey, that would be a really good way to tie all those elements together and talk about it with you guys to help you explore how you can use meditation and prayer and affirmation to change your life. So we all take meds for one reason or another. There are two kinds of medication. Those that help you to be more healthy, like vitamins, and those that help you to fight disease. And if you don't take your medications, you feel like crap all day long. So it's the same thing with these medications. They eradicate the negative voices and they perpetuate the positive flow. So I've been praying since I was 9 years old. It comes to me very, very easily. I talk to God as if he were sitting right next to me on the couch. I usually start with a gratitude prayer, and that opens all of the flow for me. So that's how I do every single day. I start out with that gratitude list going on, but we're going to be discussing prayer in detail later. So my meditation, that's the listening part. So when I was a senior in high school, I took a project called Religions of Man. And so for 8 weeks, for all day long, 8 hours a day, we would read different texts of the Holy Scriptures for all of the different religions, and we would go to all of the different religious institutions. And because I lived in New York City, there was just every kind of religion there was available for us to go visit. And so I started doing some meditation then. I found a Zen monastery on the Upper West Side that I really, really liked, and so I would hang out there a lot. But then in my 30s, I became very serious about meditation, and I took courses in meditation, and I read books on meditation, and that's when I found Louise Hay. So I'm going to talk about affirmations for a while, and then we'll go back to meditations a little bit later. But the affirmation is the part where you use words to change what's going on in your thought processes. And so I'm going to be talking about the book that she wrote called I Can Do It, How to Use Affirmations to Change Your Life, which was published in 2003. So today is a new day. Today is a day for you to begin creating a joyous, fulfilling life. Today is the day to begin to release all your limitations. Today is the day for you to learn the secrets of life. You can change your life for the better. You already have the tools within you to do so. These tools are your thoughts and your beliefs. An affirmation opens the door. It's the beginning point on the path to change. In essence, you're saying to your subconscious mind, I am taking responsibility. I am aware that there is something I can do to change. Affirmations are consciously choosing words that will help eliminate something from your life or help to create something new in your life. Every thought you think and every word you speak is an affirmation. You're using affirmations every moment, whether you know it or not. You are affirming and creating your own life experience with every word and every thought. Every complaint is an affirmation of something that you don't want in your life. If you feel like life isn't giving you what you want in your world, then it's certain you will never have the goodies that life gives to others. Your beliefs are merely habitual thinking patterns that you learned as a child. Beliefs may be limiting your ability to create the very things you say you want. What you want and what you believe you deserve may be very different. You need to pay attention to your thoughts so that you can begin to eliminate the ones that are creating experiences that you do not want in your life. Negative affirmations are more powerful, she says, because they are part of a long-standing habitual way of looking at life. Affirmations are like seeds that are planted in the soil. The more you choose to think thoughts that make you feel good, the quicker the affirmations will work. And so this goes along with everything I always talk about. Abraham Hicks says, focus on the good feeling and you're going to get more good feeling. And it was important for me to note that the complaining is just going to get bigger too. So the complaining is actually an affirmation, the way she describes it. It's affirming something negative. So if you walk around saying, I'm feeling really tired, you're just going to get more of feeling tired. So Miguel de Cervantes says, our greatest foes and who we must chiefly combat are within. So the way I incorporate affirmations into my life is that I have a playlist. This playlist is called Morning Meds, and I start out every single day with it. It's people like Louise Hay and Abraham Hicks. There's some Wayne Dyer on there. There's several other of the masters that you hear me talk about all the time. And then there are some various others that you don't hear me talk about, but I change them all the time. So I listen first thing in the morning. So while I'm brushing my teeth, while I'm making coffee, having breakfast, watering the plants, feeding the cats. So I'm moving through my day. It's the very first thing I do after prayer, and I'm putting all of this stuff into my mind. So what I do is I have about 20 minutes worth of affirmations that I've been listening to repeatedly for years. So there's a loop that I choose from that I rotate of ones that I've been listening to for a really, really long time. And then what I do is I choose areas in my life that I really want to change. So whether I'm working on my health, or I'm working on finances, or I'm working on my ministry, or I'm working on relationships, I'm going to go do research and find affirmations that are related to that specific area, and I'm going to listen to all of those. So my current playlist runs about 58 minutes, so almost an hour. And so I do that to get myself jump-started throughout the day. So after I've done my prayer and after I've done my affirmations is when I do my meditation. And my meditation also takes an hour, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But that's just my quiet time. That's where I'm having my quiet, peaceful time where I'm communing with God. So in a website called Fearless Motivation, Strong Mind, Strong Life, there's a video that they posted called Never Doubt Yourself, the Enemy Within. There's an African proverb that states, when there is no enemy within, the enemy outside can do you no harm. Refuse to allow doubts in your own mind. Never let doubts from others cloud your mind. So they talk about 3 different kinds of enemies. So they're the external enemies. So the external enemy is things like you sit down to write and your internet goes down, so you have no computer, so you can't use that. That's an external enemy that you don't really have any control over. Then he says there are the intimate enemies. So the intimate enemies are people that really love you a lot. So they're family and they're friends and they're your closest people. But they're being protective sometimes, and they will tell you sometimes that you're being unrealistic. So what we know, we talked about in another talk, was that your dreams and your goals are between you and God. God put the dreams inside your head that you want to have fulfilled. And so people don't always get what your big dream is. And so those people that love you will sometimes say, oh, that's not realistic, or oh, you can't really do that. So that's what he calls the intimate enemy. And so affirmations and prayer and meditation can all change all that, because we're going to change what's going on inside your head. So the other one that is the most painful for us is the internal enemy. And so that's the part that we need to work on the most. He says, when you believe in you, you need no other people to believe in you. Sometimes others' ideas of support cannot be so good for you because they're warning you that what you're doing is too hard and it's too risky, and that you need to be more unrealistic. But he says the greatest obstacle any human will face is their own doubts, their own fears, and their own conditioned thoughts. There is an army in your own head consisting of the fear of judgment and the lack of belief, and the voices in your head that say, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I want to do this, but I can't. There is no greater pain inflicted on you than your own internal enemy. It's like a terrorist living in your mind. Learn to control your thoughts and direct your mind. Train the internal voice to work for you. Your own thoughts cause you more pain than anyone or anything else. Make a daily commitment to work on yourself and to cut out the negative voices from your head. So Mel Robbins is a speaker, a coach, and internationally best-selling author. She wrote the 5-second rule, Kick Ass with Mel Robbins, Take Control of Your Life, and Work It Out. She's done dozens of talks on YouTube, including some very successful TED Talks. So she states you are only one decision away from a totally different life. So Mel had hit her own personal bottom. She was having financial struggles and she was close to bankruptcy. She was not getting along with her husband and she was close to divorce. She says she was drinking too much and her life was falling apart. And she came up with this 5-second rule and she says it changed her life. She talks about how you make decisions on a daily basis to move forward despite any of the negative voices in your head. She said, here's what's the most truly screwed up thing. I knew what to do to fix this, and that was the trap. Most of us know what to do to change our lives for the better, and we spend our time and our energy talking ourselves out of doing those things. Mel says it's the little stuff, the little things that make all the difference. I have done the work, and what I know is that change comes down to the 5-second rule. So the 5-second rule is when you have a voice telling you not to do something that you know is good for you, just count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and do it anyway. So when the alarm rings and you want to roll over and go back to sleep or hit the snooze button, just 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get out. And so she says, exercise is one that we use all the time that we come up against obstacles. She said, you might be getting ready to go for a run, and all of a sudden you say, oh, but it's too late, I should have gone earlier, or oh, it's too hot outside, or oh, I haven't had anything to eat. Don't fight with yourself. Don't have those arguments at all. She says, cut all those arguments out and just 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, put your sneakers on and get out the door. So she's written this whole book, and I highly recommend it, called The 5-Second Rule. So we get our power back when we set intentions and focus on desired results. So we want to start off the day with practices that encourage us that are being connected with God. We want to be in alignment with our best and our highest selves, knowing that the creative force of the universe is supporting us. So I did a lot of research this week about people that are hugely successful, and every single one of them has a morning routine. So these routines are to set them on the road to having a positive day. The intention they set and the alignment that they put in place is to be in connection with their higher power and to be positive, and they do all of this before they start their day. So Oprah said it this way, we all become exactly what we believe. If you believe you can do all things because you have been endowed by a power from on high given to you by the grace of God, if you believe that, you walk into the world believing whatever problems you encounter, you still have God to lean on. How I think I mastered this life, she says, is you are co-creating with the ultimate creator. Your choice is to focus your mind on your work with God. Before the sun comes up, I offer myself to something greater than myself. I go to my meditation space. I express to the greater energy field, I don't want to be alone as I go out into the world. And so you can look at her meditation space. It's a small little room. It's a little dark. She has candles that she lights. She has a little altar that she's built. She has meditation books that she reads from. And so she has this routine that she's put in place, she says, for decades. So Tony Robbins, another hugely successful person, has a daily ritual, and that starts at 4:30 in the morning. He talks about eating healthy and exercising, and it stresses the importance of getting your mind in perfect order before the day starts. He says it doesn't have to take a lot of time. It could be 10 minutes. So he's saying you don't have to spend a whole hour doing this. He says his quote is, if you don't have 10 minutes, you don't have a life. And that's his way of saying if you can't give yourself 10 minutes to change your life and to change all of the thoughts and beliefs that are governing the way that you get through your day, then you don't have a life. So his morning routine consists of 3 parts. So the first part is he spends 3.5 minutes of pure gratitude about 3 things. He says 2 emotions that mess us up the most are fear and anger. You can't be grateful and fearful simultaneously, or angry and grateful at the same time. You start your day cultivating gratitude. The second part is what he spends 3 minutes doing, what he calls 3 to thrive. So what the 3 outcomes that you are committed to? What are 3 things that you really want to see happen, and you see them as already being fulfilled? He says he focuses on goals that are 6 months to 12 months out. So the third part of the routine, he says, is how do I love more? He says love is not a word, it is an action. So he sets an intention during the day. How can I be more loving to my spouse? How can I be more loving to my kids? How can I be more loving to the people that I work with, that all of the people that are in my workshops? How can I show more love on a daily basis? And he sets this intention to show more love every single day. So we've talked about affirmations and we've talked about meditation. The last part of this is prayer. So prayer is the talking part, where you ask questions. I read scripture. I say prayers that I've memorized that are important to me. I pray for guidance. And 50% of the time I'm praying for others. So I have a prayer list that consists of people that have asked me to pray for them. And it also consists of people that I know that are struggling, that are going through something very difficult, that need to have prayer, that may not have asked me yet, or may not have asked me at all. So I never ask for a specific outcome, because God knows what is needed. And when we ask for wishes to be granted, God oftentimes has something much better in mind. So you don't want to ask for a specific job. You want to ask for my career to be blessing me with growing into my full potential. You don't want to get very specific. And that reminds us still of the Abraham Hicks. She's always talking about going general. So when people come to her workshop and they say, I've got myself hooked onto this job that I've absolutely got to go to, and I've been auditioning for it over and over and over again, she'll say, step back and go general and say, what is in my best and highest good? How can my career flourish the best? So those are both in alignment with the same thought process. So I've chosen some scriptural references to prayer. The Bible talks about prayer 367 times. So one of my favorites is Mark 6:31 that says, come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest. And I really like that thought about getting some rest, because prayer is all about being at peace and relaxing. But it's followed by a few of my other favorite quotes. Jesus prayed all day, we know, and we're told that he prayed unceasingly. But he also had formal prayer 3 to 4 times a day, where he went out away from the crowd. In Matthew 14:23, it says, after he had dismissed them, he went up to a mountainside by himself to pray. Luke 5:16 says, but Jesus often withdrew to a lonely place where he prayed. Deuteronomy 4:7, I like this one a lot, says, what other nation is so great as to have their gods near them the way the Lord our God is near us whenever we pray to him? Mark 1:35 says, very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up and left the house, and he went to a solitary place where he prayed. And Luke 6:12 says, one of these days Jesus went up on the mountainside to pray, and he spent the whole night praying to God. So I like all of these reminders about how Jesus set himself aside to go have communion with God. So Mary Rowland is a Unity legend. She served as the director of Silent Unity from 1916 to 1971. She is the author of The Magic of the Word and Dare to Believe. She wrote the pamphlet called Come Ye Apart for a While. She talks about the importance of relaxing as a preparation for effective prayer. She also talks about audible words get quicker results because the words one speaks exist and move through the universe of vibration and energy that take form just as one shall decree. Because they are formative expressions of what is thought, these words literally mold one's life. She also quotes Mark 6:31, but her version reads, and he saith unto them, come you yourselves apart into a desert place and rest a while. She talks about the importance of complete relaxation with God. Jesus knew the necessity of getting away to the mountain to pray, she says, but she says, I do not believe that Jesus' retirement from the multitude merely meant that he wanted to get away, but he understood the importance of increasing his own spiritual powers through prayer. It is well to establish the habit of prayer by meditating at the same time every day. This helps bring order into the prayer practice. We develop the powers of the spiritual nature through prayer. As the inner strength of the spiritual nature is quickened, it unfolds in us, and all of life becomes ordered. We put into action those higher laws which are innate in every man, and each one of us becomes the conquering man. Ideas for growth and development are written in the heart of every single man. So Jesus referred to that place we seek as the kingdom of God within you. Through quiet moments of prayer, we open our minds to the wisdom which has been written in our hearts. Eventually, through the practice of daily prayer, we shall find ourselves always attuned to the Spirit of God within. This is the goal we are seeking, to live always in the consciousness of the presence of God. What I have learned is that establishing a practice takes time. Make a commitment to ourselves to change, and you do it in very small increments. When I started meditating 30 years ago, I set an alarm for 10 minutes. I now do an hour every day, and it's my favorite hour of the day. It is when I turn my phone off and I am totally apart and separate from everything else. It is my quiet hour where I am with God, and I am sitting there in the quiet time asking for Him to give me guidance about what I need to do. But that took a lot of time. That took 30 years. So it's like a marathon. You wouldn't ask yourself to run a marathon until you had done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of short runs first. So make a commitment to yourself. Start off real small and build it up, and you'll get to where you want to go. Deepak Chopra has an article he wrote on July 1st about setting intention and how to make changes in behavior. He says, everything that happens in the universe begins with intention. When I decide to buy a birthday present, wiggle my toes, or call a friend, it all starts with intention. The Upanishad says it this way: you are what your deepest desire is. As you desire, so is your intention. As your intention is, so is your will. As your will is, so is your deed. As your deed is, so is your destiny. So we understand that the focus goes from wish to thought to action to result. He says intention is the impulse of consciousness which contains the seed form of that which you intend to create. This is his book, The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. So some of the nuggets are: slip into the gap, which is beyond the noise and the internal dialogue. It is a state of pure awareness. It is meditation. He says, release the intentions and the desires out into the world, and after you have said what your intentions are, let it go. Remain centered in a state of restful awareness. Refuse to be influenced by other people's doubts. Come from a place of contentment rather than a place of lack or need. Detach from the outcome. Quote, relinquish rigid attachment to specific results. Live in the wisdom of uncertainty, unquote. Then that reminds me of Hicks is always telling us to go general and not ask for specific desires. So intend for everything to work out as it should, and let the universe handle all of the details. Trust God for complete fulfillment of your desires. The outcome you try to force is not as good as what comes naturally. The Buddha says, it is better to conquer yourself than to win 1,000 battles. We understand that we sometimes sabotage ourselves. We listen to other people's voices. We listen to the negative voices within our own head and the voices in the world that are outside. All of that combined can tend to derail us from our spiritual growth. The 3 practices of prayer, meditation, and affirmation, we can drastically change who we are. It comes a little bit at a time. Understanding that getting aligned with God's will for us has got to be our number 1 priority. Every day is a brand new day. It is a chance to start all over again. It is a chance to combat that terrorist in your soul and acknowledge the unlimited power of the God within who wants us to thrive. This is a new day. The old one has gone away. This is a new day. Don't let it slip away. Go on and reignite impossible dreams. Become the one you never thought you could be. This is a new day. Take your meds. Thank you so very much. I hope this was helpful for you. If you liked it, just click on the subscribe button or click on the like button. And I thank you for joining me once again. I send you out with many blessings.